Here we are. Season 3, it starts tonight. Hi, Matt Marks here alongside Sir Dylan Singleton. Caleb Boydston is out right now, but here we are. We're about to break down the season. It starts tonight. Cowboys, Bucks. Here we go. So, Dylan, let's start with some matchups and walk us through this one. Trevor and Isaac. Let's break it down.
So I think as we'll discuss later in this broadcast with some power rankings, I think this league overall we've agreed upon is a lot closer than the past years. Drafting was a lot closer than things, but you look straight out the big two players for each team. You have Christian McCaffrey, and then I want to say Kyler. I believe I think Kyler is the big heads up guy there. Tyreek obviously is there, but he has a filled with CEH maybe this year. You also have different guys in there thrown in, especially Travis Kelce. But CMC, we're hoping to see a full year of action this year. Maybe Kyler only goes up. That's my first big take on it, Matt. Any big takes from you on that?
Well, just go back to the draft. Isaac getting Christian McCaffrey and the way he drafts his team, Hopkins. I mean, you look at his lineup, a lot of people saying, okay, we saw Isaac last year, completely different Isaac this year. And clear favorite right now of maybe the front runner. And that's what I see. Well-drafted team from Isaac. He's off to a good start before the season started. Really good team.
Yes, and so I think that's one big thing. And then other than that, I mean, you got some depth on both teams. Definitely some DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans, Amari Cooper guys. Some guys with questions, honestly, because of their offenses. But same on the other side. You have like Julio and Odell in the same – I'd say Julio, Odell, Mike Evans, and Amari Cooper all in about the same boat with how they're faced on. Tyreek and D-Hop you can probably put on the same page, seeing who finishes up there. Then you have that Christian McCaffrey, Kyler Murray. Russell Wilson's going to score points. We know it. Past 6 seasons in a row, he's scored no matter what. Miles Sanders and Jonathan Taylor are kind of a toss-up, I still think, and James Robinson's still a bit of a toss-up. But so I think overall these teams match up pretty well for week one, honestly, as well as one team might say they drafted. Even though power rankings might not say the same, I think it's going to be a pretty tough matchup. I'm going to lean to the side of Trevor, which is probably a upset for many this week, but I think I'm going to lean to the side of Trevor.
Yeah, I've got to disagree with that. I got to lean Isaac. I think his team's a little stronger. I like his running backs a lot more than I do Trevor's.
I agree with that statement, though. I just think that Trevor ends up having a good week based on some matchups.
Okay.
And then we'll go to our next matchup. So we're going Isaac and Trevor 1-1 there, basically, with peace. We have our newcomer, Drew, and Mason. Matt, what's your first thoughts on this matchup?
Well, it's been a tough start for Mason before the season even got started, losing 2 running backs with Baltimore. I mean, this has been a wild offseason for Baltimore. I haven't seen anything like it where you lose practically all the running back depth for a team, and we haven't even started the season. You got to feel bad for Mason in this one because, he had Dobbins, then you lose Edwards. He's got Kareem Hunt plugged in right now, but Mason's team took a big hit, and that's a tough start. It's a very tough start.
Yeah, and so I keep looking at that, and he picked up Gus Edwards too, right? And Gus Edwards got injured immediately. And then as we saw, the other 2 backs basically available are now on other 2 rosters in the league. Both these teams are not necessarily my top 3, top 4, well, maybe not in that thing, but I like both their teams to an extent. Like I said, it's a lot closer of a league. You got players like Kamara. I really don't trust Kamara this year. I trust him to finish a top 5, but he's not being number 1, I don't think, in this year, which some people might disagree with. Biggest pickup, I love Justin Jefferson there. I think he's another breakout year. Other side, I think Josh Allen's QB1 if Dak doesn't take it from him. And then Raheem Mostert, I think, is kind of iffy, though. So those are my big takeaways on his team, but I'm going Drew week 1 in this matchup, and I think it's going to be a much wider margin than the Isaac-Trevor matchup.
I got to agree. I go with Drew. When you got a team, when you have a quarterback and wide receiver combo, and like he has an Allen and Diggs, that spells a lot of trouble, and that's going to really carry Drew this week and many weeks. I'm leaning Drew.
All right, so we both go Drew on this matchup. Our next matchup is between Caleb Boydston and Bryce Wilkinson. This is what, first season championship, I believe?
This was, yes, season 1 championship.
First season champion, season 1 championship. And my first thoughts on this is, like I just said in the prior one, Dak Prescott. I think he can be QB1. He must stay healthy for one. And additionally, does he want to be QB1, I almost think. He kicks it off tonight for us. That's one of the, I think, biggest question tonight is how Dak plays. CD we just saw in that prior matchup. I think Najee Harris is a good pickup. I like Trevor's running backs and Caleb's running backs and Dak there. Beyond that, I don't like much on his team. Calvin Ridley, okay, cool. And then you look over at Bryce's team. Bryce is a pretty stacked team, but it's a lot of question marks, I think, still. David Montgomery, can he repeat? I know I loved David last year, but can he repeat? Saquon, can he come back? Jalen, can he finish the season he did? A.J. Brown with Julio on his team. Dallas Goedert, healthier team on the Eagles. Adam Thielen, one of his best touchdown seasons ever. Lots of questions, but looks overall as a good team.
Yeah, again, for Bryce, this is the second season, again, seeing what Saquon Barkley can do. He lost them last year in week 2. What will Saquon do? That's the big question mark around Bryce's team. If Saquon's on, this team is really good. I like it with Devontae Adams. I like your point, though, what you said about Caleb. I like his running backs and Dak combo, and that might be what carries him to a win this week. It's tough. I think I got to go with ESPN on this one, too. They've got, the win probability leaning towards Caleb. I think I'm going to go with Caleb this week too, even though, yes, after the draft, he does not have a good bench. And we'll see what happens. I'm going to lean Caleb.
I'm going to go ahead and lean Bryce for this one. So we're split again. My big thing on this is I think Saquon comes back and has a good week. If Saquon's not back and healthy, it might change the entire outcome. But overall, it's a good team. I mean, he's got tough matchups. He's got David Montgomery facing the Rams. It's going to be a tough week for him as much as it already is. But the other side, you got like Najee facing the Bills. So it's a lot of big things like that for those two question marks. But I'm going to lean Bryce here, and I think it's going to be a much closer game again. So right now I have 2 close games, and I think Drew pretty handily beats Mason at this point. All right, next matchup. Matt, it is you and Connor. First of all, just give us some comments on your opponent. That way you can say a bias out of it if you would like.
Yeah, I was going to just kind of back off and not say anything about my team. Obviously, I want to win. But I look at Connor's team, and again, he's really drafted well. I like the Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler combo, Brady and Zeke. I mean, we'll see what Zeke does. Obviously, a very bad down year last year. Will he rebound? I like his team across the board. We will see what happens, right? Zeke may be the biggest question mark, but his wide receivers are really good. His flex and Robert Woods. I mean, he's got a really good team, and he's going to be a tough opponent for anybody that he faces this season.
So I'd have to say on paper, because you look at the depth chart there as well, just that insane depth, I think, on the right side, maybe not. But I'd say on paper, I really love Isaac's team, but I think it's another question mark team for me. Connor, I keep freaking going back to the last one. Yes, Connor. I love Connor's team on paper, but it's a lot of question marks again. But like Eckler, can he come back? We know he's going to be healthy for week 1. It was kind of an up and down thing. Zeke, how's his year going to be? He's already good. Tom Brady should follow it up. Terry McLaurin, I think it's going to be a breakout season. Keenan Allen. It's an amazing team on paper, one of the best in the league. But Matt, you're trying to build your team, it looks like, around a NBA big 3. George Kittle, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. I think you're kind of going the NBA route, big 3 to carry your team. And I don't think it's a bad idea. Having 3 tier 1 players is a big step up. So I think I want to say it's going to be a close matchup, Matt, but I'm going to lean towards Connor here. I think it could be closer than I think, but Connor's team on paper just looks like it's going to blow it out this week.
All right. Yeah. I hope I win.
You want you to win? Are you leaning towards yourself?
I hope I win. That's, the comments.
All right. And then, Matt, go ahead and start this off with this matchup, and I'll go and call my opponent in a moment.
Yeah. This is a rematch from last year's championship game. Both teams, obviously, Connor, so close to that championship. Dylan, you're feeling really good. But let's look at the teams we have right now. Really, both good teams. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, the mess that we've had in the offseason, he'll be ready to go. And I like your team, Dylan, with Rodgers and Gibson should be great. Robinson, I'm a big Cooper Kupp fan, and Travis Kelce. We'll see what Kyle Pitts does. There's a lot of excitement. On the other side with Connor, I really like Mahomes and Aaron Jones right there. That's going to be really strong. Darren Waller. I love Darren Waller from last year. This one, I think, is going to come down to the wire. I don't know if you guys have anybody, what your Monday night looks like, or if you both end up Sunday. You know, we got Darren Waller Monday night. Dylan, do you have anybody Monday night?
I have no one running Monday.
No.
As of no one on my roster except for Le'Veon Bell is running on Monday.
There you go. So can Waller win it, or will Connor already have it locked up? I think this can be a very close matchup between you two. This is what we want. I like both teams. You both have both tight end. The matchups, Waller versus Kelsey. Can't get much better than that. I mean, that right there is going to be fun to watch.
And that was my first thought on this as well, is that it's going to be that Waller versus Kelsey matchup. The 1-2, many would say. Obviously, Kittle's there, but it's an up-in-the-air offense, and Kittle's also had some injuries. I think everyone can agree Kittle's probably a better overall tight end, but it's health considerations and team considerations. So you got to know. So I like the 1-1 matchup week 1 with tight ends. Mahomes, I think, is going to outscore Rodgers, hands down. I like his team a lot. Obviously, I want my team to win. I have some downfalls. I don't really like a lot of his depth and positions, but I can't necessarily dislike his team because it's my week 1 opponent. So I got to respect the team and hope for the win. So Matt, you say down to the wire? Anyone you want to pick on that side?
You know, I'm going to lean with Connor on this one just because Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Jones. I think right
so
there.
So me and Matt can agree with one thing tonight: Drew to win. Everything else we're split on. We're also picking against both of our teams. So next, we'll pop over into some power rankings real quick, just because I think it's going to be a good week 1. A lot of close matchups, actually. We'll pop into some power rankings real quick. Matt, do you want to lead off with the ones you just sent me of your own, and I'll say mine next? Your personal power rankings?
Pull them up on my phone. Here we go. So I'll just go 1 through 10 right now.
Or you want to start 10? You start with your 10. I'll go with my 10.
Okay. Well, 10. And the league's going to love this. I put myself. Okay. I'll say after I got a chance to sit back from that draft. My draft strategy, I did not like my draft strategy. I still like my team, but I didn't like my strategy. And I fully own. Yeah, I've got 2 quarterbacks in 1 quarterback league. I hear that, but I did put myself at 10. It was not how I wanted to draft. I didn't come in really with a plan, and it showed. So I'll count that.
And my 10 is going to be a big shocker. I have Connor McClain, my opponent for this week, at 10. I looked through it a few times. I didn't have him there at first, but I ended up moving him down to 10. And it stuck with me once I started trying to put the guy right above him next. So then my 9 is Mason.
Okay, well, right now in the group me, when they see this, they are messaging right now to everybody what you just said.
They are definitely messaging what I just said right now. No one thinks Connor McClain is last. But my next one for Mason, I think people can agree. He's bottom 3.
Okay. I've got number 9. I've got Trevor. Again, I just looking at his team, and not even looking at the track record, but just looking at his team, I've got him at the bottom as well.
All right, and then who's your 8?
8 is Mason. So I agree with you, bottom 3 team. And this was before injuries. I'm even taking into account if he had Edwards playing right now.
Okay. My 8 is in Caleb. It's taking into account Edwards as well. And then my 7 is Trevor. So we got 3 or 4 the same. Trevor, Caleb, and Mason we have in our bottom 4 for both of us right now. It's just you have Matt thrown in there at 10, and I have Connor thrown in there at 10. So our 7, 8, 9 are just scrambled.
Exactly. Yeah. My 7 is Caleb. So, yep. My number 6 is you, Dylan. I've got you sitting right now at 6.
Got a lot to show for this team. Don't know how to be. My 6 is then Drew. And then Matt, I ranked you at 5.
So I don't know why.
A bump up for you. You're welcome. We can see how that goes. And then you lead in with 5 with the same guy as me as?
I've got 5 as Drew.
Yep. So I have 6 of Drew. You have 5 of Drew. So we're pretty equal on that. I think our next 4 shakes up a little bit, mainly because we both have one different person that's basically flipped in the rankings. So you have it 4 and 3.
I've got 4 Bryce and 3 Connor McClain.
Yep, and I have Bryce at 3 there, and then Isaac's at 4. So it's a little bit of a shake up there. And then my number 2 is myself. It's a little biased probably, but also I a lot of looks. The same way I came out last year, I think it ended up being myself at 1, and then I have some other stats on that too. And then your 2 is?
And then I've got Connor Boydston.
Yep, Connor Boydston. I have Connor Boydston at 1. You have Isaac at 1, correct?
Yep.
If so, those are mine and Matt's. Just some quick other stats. Like you guys can talk about that all you want. We'll see how it works out week one. Me and Matt could be pretty right. Me and Matt could both be pretty damn wrong. Statistically, so I put this in about 113 sites. I already showed Matt these stats. Points came down to a decimal system. So like it was like if you got like let's call 10.000, that amount of scores. These stats came out Caleb in 10 with only 21.78 points. 9 is Drew, 24 points. Mason is 27 at 8th. 7th is Trevor with 32.037 points. This is how close 6th and 7th were. Connor then got 6th with 32.378 points. So it's very close between Trevor and Connor based on statistics. Obviously, this is based purely a lot of website statistics, halfback, running backs, all that stuff. Matt is in at 5 with 37, so it's a little bit of a jump. Then you have a 9-point jump up to Bryce for 46.7 points at 4. Isaac is in at 3 with 50 points. And then myself and Connor are at 54.504 and 54.506 at 1 and 2, with me at 1 and him at 2. And that's separated by, and this is Connor Boydston. And that's separated by 2 10,000ths of a point for our rankings. So that's just statistically. Then we go into the league. This is how you guys voted. That form I sent out, it's including me, Matt. That form I sent out. The average came out to Bryce in first with 1.9 average, Connor in second, 2.2, Isaac in third, 2.4, Dylan in fourth, 3.3, Caleb in fifth, 3.7. Don't know how that happened. Drew in sixth at 4, Connor in seventh at 4.4, Trevor in eighth at 4.9, Mason in ninth at 5.5 average, and then Matt is in 10th with a 6.2 ranking average. What will be funny to you is, Matt, you were ranked out of 5 brackets last place. Not a single other source, site, you, me, other than you, ranked you 10th. So it kind of tosses it up in the air. Will Matt be 10th? Who knows?
It's a great storyline.
Yep, going purely by sites, it was Isaac, Bryce, Dylan, Connor, Caleb, Matt, Mason, Drew, Trevor, in that order. That's just based purely on sites, and it's a lot closer. It's like 0.8 average positioning because Isaac went below 1 somehow, and he was the favorite there. But overall, out of all these standings, out of our league rankings, out of the statistical rankings, out of me and Matt's rankings, out of the sites rankings, the overall rankings is Matt at 10. He's getting an average of 8.3. Mason at 9, 7.6. Trevor, Drew, Connor McLean, Caleb, myself in 4th, Connor Boydson in 3rd, Isaac in 2nd, and then Bryce is overall in 1st between all of our rankings with a 2.9 average ranking. And so that's all the rankings there. And obviously a lot of numbers I threw out there, but it's just to show a little bit of where it came up with. So it looks like overall everyone pretty much agrees. The top, Bryce, Isaac, and Connor Boydson are up there, and the bottom are Mason, Trevor, and Matt. That's what it looks like it comes out to. And then everyone else in between is kind of thrown around.
Yeah, that's how it shakes up. It's going to be good. It starts tonight. We'll see how close those predictions, are they right? Are they wrong? Like you said, it all starts tonight. A long season ahead. Here we go.
Yep. Thank you all. Hope for a good season. And as we know, someone's going to win tonight, someone's going to lose, and someone's going to win the Golden Briefcase at the end of the year.